I don't like making these videos, but my repeated petitions to the development team on the official content creator Discord seems to fall on deaf ears. This leaves me no options but to use my platform for what I believe needs to be said. So Enlisted is in a tough spot right now. It just isn't reaching the level of success that its bigger brother War Thunder is. So why is that? Hey, what's going on, scholars? It's your professor here, Enlightened Enlisted, and today we're going to be looking at why Enlisted cannot be run like War Thunder and how the development team at Darkflow needs to come off their high horse. War Thunder's success can be traced to several factors. The first one has got to be that the barrier of entry is very low because it's a free-to-play game after all. But you get a high reward for playing the game because it is pretty skill-based. I mean, you have map knowledge, understanding different weak points on armor, and a general understanding of aerial combat and maneuvers. This gives the player something to work towards on top of the grind of the game itself. Some of this formula translates to Enlisted for sure, but it is far less skill-based when you're just gunning down droves of AI bots. War Thunder also has a massive advantage in the gaming market in the fact that there is really no competition for it. I mean, can you name one game that allows you to command tanks, planes, and warships? Sure, games like DCS World do a massive better job at realism in aerial combat, but think about the massive learning curve it takes just to take off in that game, and then the steep investment for equipment just to have an enjoyable experience. And of course there's World of Warships, World of Tanks, and even World of Planes. But those are three different games compared to one game with three different experiences. Enlisted, on the other hand, has countless competitors. First-person shooters based in World War II are a dime a dozen. Sure, Enlisted offers AI-controlled squad mates, but let's be honest, who really gives a shit about these flesh bags that you just spawn into when you get killed? Not to mention the cumbersome ways that you can control them, and if you even want to call it controlling them at best. You aren't really getting that different of an experience between each campaign, and many of the levels that you unlock are the exact same in other campaigns. So the unique experience is pretty lacking with Enlisted, honestly. If you look at a game like Hell Let Loose, for example, you'll get a completely different experience just by what role you play. This is not only because you have to interact with teammates in order to accomplish a greater goal, but each weapon system acts completely different. Take the STG-44, for example. In Hell Let Loose, you can't hit anything from long range with that thing, but in Enlisted, it's basically a laser beam that you can just mow people down all day long. So you have really no trade-off factor like you do in other games. Let's also not kid ourselves here. War Thunder is a cash cow. I mean, some of these premium vehicles are expensive as hell, but you can use them always with whatever BR you are, and that type of monetization doesn't transfer well to Enlisted. I mean, you can pay the same amount of money for that squad, tank, or plane, but it's only in one campaign, with most of them becoming obsolete towards the end of the progression. This has been addressed by the developers. They've made comments saying that premium squads aren't supposed to be killers, they're just supposed to be able to help you grind faster. And while I agree that premium squads shouldn't be super overpowered, because then it would become pay to win. What you're telling me is you want me to pay you for premium time in order to progress faster, and then pay an additional amount in order to progress faster? Some of the premium squads used to be unique, and you would only be able to get those weapons if you bought that premium squad. But we're seeing a shift where premium squad weapons are being unlocked in other campaigns. Does this not sound like a bad business model to you? On a business level, I have a personal complaint with Enlisted versus War Thunder, and that comes to their support for content creators. I mean, Enlisted content creators get very little support. Let's look at Twitch drops, for example. Drop weekends bring the viewership for this game up by like triple the amount of numbers, which in turn brings new players into the game. Yet, at best, we only get them once a quarter. This basically costs the company no money. And for whatever reason, they're treating it like they're burning money. Now, I'll admit, War Thunder doesn't get a lot of support in drops either, but this game has a massive amount of content creators to make content for it. I mean, look at guys like Fly Daily. Look at this video right here. It has over 1 million views, for God's sakes. Tell me that isn't great advertisement for this game. If you're just scrolling through YouTube and this comes up on your suggestion feed, you're going to watch this, and of course Fly Daily does a great job with his videos, but it promotes the game, and if anything, it just keeps engagement for the game alive. I do want to give credit where credit is due. Enlisted and War Thunder do a decent job with events. Plus, complaining without a solution is just wasted effort, and I absolutely love Enlisted. So how do we fix this problem? Well, for starters, Enlisted has to stop being run like War Thunder. It will never be the cash cow that War Thunder is, at least not anywhere in the near future. So the prices for all the unlocks and access passes need to come down a lot. You can't squeeze blood out of a rock, and if you want to make money, then you gotta give value. Capitalism at its finest. $50 for the Matilda 2 is too high. I mean, for that price, I can go and buy the entire game of Hell Let Loose. It's just absolutely ridiculous. In order to promote some cash flow, I would make the customization for the whole squad cheaper and more effective. They also have to promote this game a lot more through events, drops, and advertisement. I was 100% okay with them paying like Shroud and Jack Frags to play Enlisted, but that's only one key of the puzzle. I don't understand why War Thunder isn't promoting Enlisted, or better yet, why isn't Enlisted added to Steam? For events and rewards, why don't we have it where you have to play both games, War Thunder and Enlisted, in order to achieve some kind of grand unlock? Also, why do custom matches not have a title and password for the game? I mean, it's an easy fix in order to increase player interest. I can think of all kinds of player-run events. I mean, Quad Bros vs. EE Scholars, historical style battles, the possibilities for lone wolf competitive gameplay. I mean, the options are limitless. But the biggest thing I think they need to change is to stop releasing campaigns that are half finished. Nothing kills a player's experience than having a one-sided game. And this happens all the time a new campaign is released or a new update comes out, because the players will see that the best unlock is on one side, and then they will grind out for that unlock, and then in the next update the other faction will have a better unlock, and then the player base will shift to that side. I don't know about you, but I like to have good games, not stomping 3 dudes and the rest of the team just being an AI squad. If you don't believe me, then you didn't participate in the Stalingrad event at all. Literally everyone played the Axis, and there's a reason for that. If you just release all 40 levels up front, the player base will be equally dispersed. For God's sakes, play test everything you are going to do before you make that change. Having a bunch of making Enlisted better number X releases isn't communication if you're just correcting something that could have easily been caught if you took a week to play test it. I'm also really fed up with this excuse we don't speak English, and that's the reason why we have a lack of coherent communication. I challenge you, Darkflow. Tom is a communications manager who is British. I'm pretty sure he speaks English. Just tell him your ideas and then have him type it up. Or hell, for Enlisted Gold, I'll do it myself. Now, most of you have probably noticed that I haven't touched on the campaign system at all. And personally, I think it needs a massive overhaul. But it might be too late for that. And I haven't really figured out how I would change it at this point. If I come up with a solution, I'll be sure to post a video about it. So be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. Before everyone starts commenting in the comment section with "this game's in beta," no, it isn't. This game is 100% launched, because if you were collecting $30 to have access to a single campaign, it isn't a beta. If it were a beta, it would mean that you are ensuring the end user are satisfied with the software product before you make it generally available. Enlisted is generally available, and I would challenge you to name one massive mechanic we have had changed since the game had Normandy launch, because it took 9 months for an AT gun to move in one campaign. I'll go ahead and answer all the comments too that are going to say, well, you play World War III and that's a beta that has paid access. You are 100% correct. World War III does have a paid access to get into the beta, but there's a big difference. A, they're going to wipe everyone's progression when and if the game goes to general launch, and B, there are no microtransactions in the game other than just getting into the game itself. Once you're in, you're in. That's a big difference from we're in beta, but we want everyone to have access, and oh hey, by the way, give us money for faster progression, squads, cosmetics, etc. I want this game to survive, and I want it to grow so badly because I love it despite all its faults. But there is a massive difference between the development team over at World War III, for example, which has messed up numbers of times to the point that honestly the game might be dead, and the development team over at Darkflow that refuses to admit they are failing to deliver on anything short of a supplement cash spinoff from War Thunder. And if this video gets me kicked out of the content creator program for Enlisted, well then, oh well. It needed to be said, and the 2,000 gold they give me a month for making content isn't worth me compromising myself, honestly. I'll always keep making Enlisted videos, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. What are your thoughts and concerns with the game? Let me know down in the comments below, and while you're down there, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. As always, scholars, hit those books and hit those bottles. Cheers.